I come to speak to you in defense of a cause as holy as the cause of liberty, the cause of humanity. Never before in the history of this country has there been witnessed such a contest as that through which we have passed. In this contest, brother has been arrayed against brother, father against son. The warmest ties of love and acquaintance and association have been disregarded. But the principles upon which democracy rests are as everlasting as the hills, and they must be applied to new conditions as they arise. Conditions have arisen, and we are attempting to meet those conditions. Upon which side shall the Democratic Party fight? Upon the side of the idle holders of idle capital, or upon the side of the struggling masses? That is the question that the party must answer first. And then it must be answered by each individual thereafter. The sympathies of the Democratic Party are on the side of the struggling masses, who have ever been the foundation of the Democratic Party. There are two ideas of government. There are those who believe that if you just legislate to make the well-to-do prosperous, their prosperity will leak down to those below. The Democratic idea has been that if you legislate to make the masses prosperous, their prosperity will find its way up and through every class that rests upon it. For a generation, the Republican Party has drawn its campaign funds from the beneficiaries of special legislation. Privileges have been pledged and granted in return for money contributed to debauched elections. What can be expected of those when official authority is turned over to the representatives of the ones who furnish the sinews of war and then reimburse themselves out of the pockets of the taxpayers? So long as the Republican Party remains in power, it is powerless to regenerate itself. It cannot attack wrongdoing in high places without disgracing many of its most prominent members. And it therefore uses opiates instead of the surgeon's knife. Its malefactors construe each Republican victory as an endorsement of their conduct and threaten the party with defeat if they are interfered with. Not until that party passes through a period of fasting in the wilderness will the Republican leaders learn to study public questions from the standpoint of the masses. Just as with individuals, the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the truth, so in politics, when party leaders serve far away from home and are not in constant contact with the voters, continued party success blinds their eyes to the needs of the people and makes them deaf to the cry of distress. An effort has been made to secure legislation requiring publicity as to campaign contributions and expenditures. But the Republican leaders, even in the face of indignant public, refused to consent to a law which would compel honesty in elections. Whether we consider the tariff question, the trust question, the railroad question, the banking question, the labor question, the question of imperialism, the development of our waterways, or any of the other numerous problems which press for a solution, we shall find that the real question involved in each is this: whether the government shall remain a mere business asset of favor-seeking corporations or be an instrument in the hands of the people for the advancement of the common weal. If we desire to preserve for future generations the purity of our courts and the freedom of our people, we must lose no opportunity to impress upon our citizens that above all pleasure, above all convenience, above all business, they must place their duty to government. For a good government doubles every joy, and a bad government multiplies every sorrow. Times change, but principles endure. While human government exists, the tendency to abuse power will remain. So let us correct its deficits with kindly hands. Let us purge it of its imperfections, and it will be, as it in the past, the bulwark of our liberties. Free government cannot survive long. When the thousands enjoy the wealth of the country and the millions share poverty in common, every now and again you will hear the rich express contempt for popular government. And among the poor, protest against legislation which makes them toil that others may reap. The overshadowing issue, which manifests in all of the questions now under discussion, is, shall the people rule? No matter what way we turn, no matter what subject we address, the same question confronts us. Shall the people control their own government and use government for the protection of their rights and for the promotion of their welfare? Or shall the representatives of predatory wealth prey upon a defenseless public while the offenders secure immunity from subservient officials whom they raise to power by unscrupulous methods? You shall not press down upon the brow of labor this crown of thorns. You shall not crucify mankind upon a cross of gold. I object to the Darwinian theory until more conclusive proof is produced, because I fear we will lose the consciousness of God's presence in daily life if we must accept the theory that through all the ages, no spiritual force has touched the life of man or shaped the destiny of nations. But there is another objection. The Darwinian theory represents man as reaching his present perfection by the operation of the law of hate, the merciless law by which the strong crowd out and kill the weak. If this is the law of our development, then, if there is any logic that can bind the human mind, we shall turn backward toward the beast in proportion as we substitute the law of love. I prefer to believe that love, rather than hatred, is the law of development. How can hatred be the law of development when nations have advanced in proportion as they have departed from that law and adopted the law of love? But I repeat, while I do not accept the Darwinian theory, I shall not quarrel with you about it. I only refer to it to remind you that it does not solve the mystery of life or explain human progress. The seeming paradox, he that saveth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it, has an application wider than what is usually given to it. It is an epitome of history. Those who live only for themselves live little lives. But those who stand ready to give themselves for the advancement of things greater than themselves find a larger life than the one that they would have surrendered. Love is the foundation of Christ's creed. The world had known love before. Parents had loved their children, children their parents, husbands loved their wives, wives their husbands, friend had loved friend. But Jesus gave a new definition of love. His love was as wide as the sea. Its limits were so far flung that even an enemy could not travel beyond its bounds. Other teachers sought to regulate the lives of their followers by rule and formula, but Christ's plan was to purify the heart and then leave love to direct the footsteps.